Is it okay if we can admit that Itachi was a very terrible person? You know, enough time has passed, you know, where we can actually understand that Itachi was in fact a very, very terrible person, right? You know, and after the manga ended in Naruto, you know, I went back and reread it, you know, and there's a lot of things that I didn't really fully comprehend, you know, as a child versus as an adult, right? And one of those things was the Itachi story. And when you actually go back and look at it, you know, using your own interpretation instead of what the manga tells you, you quickly come to the realization that Itachi was in fact a very big lunatic. Okay, like he's absolutely wackadoodle. Like he is insane. Okay, now Itachi, you know what? I'm not even gonna, you know, beat around the bush with it. Itachi was a fucking lunatic. Okay, it just is what it is. You know, he's a loon. He has very little redeeming qualities. You know, and he's just overall just a terrible brother and a terrible person. You know, now this goes into mass contradiction, you know, with the Naruto community and the, you know, the Naruto fans, you know, all those, but it's just the truth, you know. Itachi was a horrible person, you know. Now, of course, I wouldn't say that without backing it up, right? So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So to start with, we're going to start with Itachi as a kid. Now, as a kid, Itachi was introduced to the concept of death early on, like at 4 years old or some shit, right? Fugaku would take Itachi to the battlefields to, I guess, help clean up and, you know, clean up the scars of war. Okay. Now, while Itachi was on the battlefield, this is where he first killed his first man. Okay. And through this has triggered Itachi to start thinking about bigger things, such as like, what is a village? What do the Uchihas think? You know, and so on and so forth. You know, Itachi at this early age, he was thinking about a lot of bigger things that a lot of 4-year-olds just normally do not think about. You know, now this isn't bad, so to speak, but at the same time, it's like Itachi, with his young mind, he can't really comprehend what it is he's actually thinking about, or what he's actually, you know, trying to figure out, you know. And this gets so bad at some point that Itachi at 5 or 6 years old tries to kill himself. Okay, now let that sink in. Itachi at 5 or 6 years old, pondering what a village is and what the Uchihas think, decides life is too hard for me and tries to kill himself. He jumps off a cliff. Okay? And only through remembering Sasuke, his little brother, does he actually decide, okay, I'm not going to kill myself. I'm going to go back home. Right? So this right now has already shown you that, as tragic as it is, Itachi as a small child is already suffering with depression, you know, mental issues, and everything else that comes with that. Okay? Because what 5-year-old do you know of that would actually kill themselves? A 5-year-old. Have you ever seen a 5-year-old jump from a building because life is too hard? Have you ever seen a suicidal 4 or 5-year-old? I mean, personally, I've never seen that. Right? Hopefully I don't ever see that. Okay? That's just not normal. Okay, now, before we can actually really go in on Itachi, though, we got to put Itachi to the side and look at the Uchihas as a whole, you know, so we can get a really good grasp on the situation, you know, as a whole. So, beginning with the Uchihas, you know, they were at war with the Senju for a number of years, for this and that. But eventually, they both came together, you know, to have some kind of peace together, right? After years of war, they decided, you know what, we want to settle down. We don't want any more death. You know, we want to coexist and, you know, actually live life instead of wars all the damn time, right? So they come together, and somehow the Senju winds up on top as the Hokages and stuff like that. And the Uchihas, they become like law enforcement, police officers, stuff like that, right? Now, during the time that the Uchihas were in the village, people already didn't like them, okay? They were already looked down on. The Hokages, maybe not Hashirama, but the other ones, they didn't really like him too well, especially Tobirama. He gave them the police force because, yeah, they're good police officers, but at the same time, he really gave it to them so he can spy on them and so he can build animosity between the Uchihas and every other clan within the Leaf, so nobody can trust them, and this went on for a long time. Now, obviously, the Uchihas noticed this, but they didn't react to it. Okay. Now, at some point, the Nine Tails happened, right? Came in there, tearing up the damn village. We all know the story. Fourth Hokage came out there. He sacrificed himself along with Kushina to, seal the Nine Tails inside Naruto, and that's the beginning of Naruto right there. But what I'm focusing in on is how the Leaf reacted to the Uchiha after this incident. Right? So what they decided to do is pluck the Uchihas from their home without any explanation, by the way, and hurl them to the outskirts of the village. And obviously this would infuriate the Uchihas, who are still left in the dark. They have no idea why the Leaf picked them up and moved them to the outskirts of the village. Why are they blaming them for the Nine Tails attack? And this would obviously infuriate the Uchihas who helped build the village. So we're going to reintroduce Itachi. Okay. Now, Itachi is an extraordinary ninja. All right. He's like the ultimate prodigy. He's like a master of genjutsu, master of throwing kunais and espionage and all of that. Right. And at like 12, you can correct me on this, like around 12 or maybe even younger, he got recruited into the Anbu, which is an elite task force, managed by the Hokage and Danzo, right? It's like the top of the top. Okay, now Fugaku, he was ecstatic about this. He was like, wow, my son got into the Anbu, and he was really happy about this because he could start finally getting some answers. Right? So, like, why is the Leaf doing this to the Uchihas? Why are they being treated this way? This is what he wanted to know from Itachi. And Itachi, he had access to this information because he would attend Hokage meetings. He worked directly for the Hokage and Danzo, and he had, access to secrets and, all of the stuff that you would want to know. Itachi knew it. He had access to it. Now Fugaku, still left in the dark because the Leaf didn't tell him anything, is curious, like, okay, why is my clan being treated this way? Okay, so it's very obvious he would try to ask Itachi, why are we being treated this way? Why is the family treated this way? Okay, now what Itachi does is he decides, I'm not going to tell you a single thing. Itachi, he decides, you know what? I want to be more loyal to the village and not to and than to my own family. Right? And that's where Itachi's coming from. Okay. So now you have the Uchihas. Obviously, they're in speculation mode. They're like, okay, well, what's happening? Like, what's going on? And then that's a very normal reaction. If you do something to a group of people without telling them why you're doing the thing to the group of people, they're going to start, speculating, like, okay, well, why did you do this to me? Right? Now, Itachi, he sees this. And instead of just like telling his clan that, like, hey, there's an investigation that's ongoing, everything's going to be okay, just bear with it a little bit longer. He doesn't do any of that. Instead, what he does, because he's working as a double agent, what he does is he reports all of his findings to the Hokage. Okay? So at this point, the coup is starting to get developed. Itachi's already heard about it, and he reports this to the Hokage. Okay? But at the same time, he doesn't actually go back to his clan because he doesn't attend meetings or anything like that. He doesn't ever go back to his clan and just be like, hey, what you guys are thinking is not happening. This is what's actually happening. This is what's going on. Okay? So during this whole time, Itachi's actually sitting by, letting his clan build up steam while reporting the problem to the Hokage without actually trying to solve the problem at all until the last second. Okay, so that's what's actually going on here. Now, what Itachi does after all this goes down, during the night of the coup, Danzo comes up to him with a proposition. Danzo tells him, look, I want you to kill your family, or we're going to kill your family, pretty much, along with Sasuke. Now, a lot of Naruto fans, they would come together, right? And they would kind of just summarize it like, well, Sasuke, he was a kid, he was stuck between a rock and a hard place, he had no option, he only had two choices, either kill his family or don't, and just let them die, and they'll kill Sasuke, he had no choice. He had to make a deep decision, and that's why he did what he did, and that's why he was noble. Because he wanted to, it's like, let them all die, or protect Sasuke, and they all die. And that's pretty much where Naruto fans are coming from. But see, the thing is you never have like just simply two options when it comes to any kind of choice like that. You know what I mean? Danzo's not the Hokage. Okay? And Itachi, he could have done several other things than do what he actually did to the clan. Okay? Like, for example, the coup, it's made up of a bunch of warrior Uchiha who are coming down there to, storm the capital and overthrow the government or something like that, right? If Itachi had to kill somebody, right? Why couldn't he kill the combatants of the coup? Like the actual fighters of the coup, right? Like, he didn't have to kill his mom, right? Like his fucking mom. Does this make sense? It's like, okay, so the idea behind this whole situation is that you want to stop a coup from happening. Okay, and how do you stop a coup? To stop the coup, you either A, need to convince them to stop, okay, which is already too late at this point. Itachi already had his time to do that, but he didn't. Okay? Or two, take out the fighters. Okay? Which is, yeah, that's what Itachi did, but he went beyond that, right? So Itachi, he decided, you know what? I'm going to kill not only the fighters, which, by the way, already stopped the coup, which is kind of interesting when you think about it. He already stopped the coup when he killed the fighters. Okay, so at some point, the Uchiha massacre was pointless. Okay? Let's all come to the realization with that. At some point, the Uchiha massacre was completely pointless because he already killed the fighters. Okay? But he continued on. He killed babies. Like, he killed fucking babies. Okay? He killed his mother. Okay, she's not a fighter. She's a dishwasher. She's washing dishes. She's taking care of the house. He killed his mother. Okay? And he killed his grandma and grandpa and laid them in the street. He killed a bunch of people like that. Children, babies, grandma, grandpa, mother, his own girlfriend. Like, he killed all of them for essentially no reason, because the coup was already stopped. You see what I'm saying? So that's what Itachi chooses to do. He also, hires the help of Obito, to help him carry this out. He goes to Obito, like hands on his knees, is just begging Obito, like, please, just like kill the Uchiha, but leave the rest of the village alone. You know, just kill them people and just leave the rest of the village alone. And, you know, of course, Obito, the evil ass, is like, sure, I'll do it. You know, so both of them, you know, they both killed the Uchiha, so it's a team effort, but still, that doesn't, you know, mitigate anything about Itachi. Okay, but back to my main point, there are things that Itachi could have done to actually get out. I mean, you know, to instead of what he actually tried to do or what he actually did, right? So, number one, kill the fighters. Okay, if you killed the fighters, or at least stop them in some form of way, you stop the coup. Right? Like, you didn't have to kill your mom for that. Okay? And secondly, what he could have done is like, if the whole situation was just about protecting Sasuke, see, this right here would be really noble. Take Sasuke and leave the village. You know, and while you're at it, take your mom, as well as any other non-fighters who would be harmed during the battle. You know, such as your mom, your grandma, your grandpa, the elderly, the babies, your girlfriend, you know, Sasuke. You know, you could have went to your father and tried to convince him to come. You know, obviously, I'm pretty sure that wouldn't have worked, but you could have tried. You know, but no, you're not going to try to kill him. No, you would just convince him to see if he would, you know, change his mind, not kill your fucking dad. All right, and you would take all of the innocent Uchiha to safety, you know, and take care of them. You know, that would have been a very noble act of Itachi. You know, something extremely admirable. Like, okay, you saw something happening, you saw something building up steam, you decided, okay, I'm gonna get my family out of the way of this. That is extremely noble. Not, oh, there's a coup happening from my clan, I'm going to kill everyone, including people who are not even really involved. That doesn't make any sense. You know, and then after all this, Itachi turns around and then tries to pretend like he's some kind of loving brother to Sasuke. Like he's some kind of, you know, loving brother who had Sasuke's best interest in mind, and he did all of this to, you know, quote unquote protect Sasuke and, you know, stuff like that, right? But that's utter bullshit as well. Like, Itachi, he put Sasuke, child Sasuke, who's like, keep in mind, like 4, 5 years old again, he puts kid Sasuke in a genjutsu, right? And not just any genjutsu, he puts him in a long-ass 24-hour genjutsu where he basically kills his entire family, including his mother and father, right in front of Sasuke. And he does this for 24 hours. To a 4-year-old. A kid. What justification is there for that? Like, really, what justification is there for that? You see what I'm saying? And then, what Itachi does, after he finishes tormenting his little brother, you know, showing him killing his mother and father, like, what the fuck? He tells Sasuke to kill his best friend. So it's like, what is even going on here? So he basically tells Sasuke, look, when you get a best friend, I want you to kill that nigga. All that for some eyes. Okay? Like, what part of that is a loving brother? like what act of love is that? Kills your parents, shows you him doing it, and then tells you to kill your best friend so you can get some eyeballs. Like, what part of that is out of love? Like, wow, I just so love you so much, I'm gonna kill your family. Like, what part of that is a loving act? And as I mentioned before, Itachi didn't have to do that. You see what I'm saying? Now, what Itachi decides to do after this is, you know, he dips and runs off to the Akatsuki. Okay? So he just completely leaves, runs off to the Akatsuki, puts on some fingernail polish and a black bathrobe, and he hangs out with them. Now what Naruto fans, what they would tell you is that, well, Itachi, he's again, he's back into a double agent role, right? He's giving, important information about the Akatsuki to the Leaf. And yeah, so he's actually he's still a good guy, right? Like, he's just hanging around the Akatsuki so he could inform the Leaf of what they're doing. But the thing is that he's not. He's not. He's a terrible spy. He's not doing any of that. Okay? Itachi didn't relay not one damn piece of information to the Leaf. What kind of spy is he? Right? So it's like, he joins the Akatsuki as a spy, quote unquote. Right? And he's supposed to be relaying information to the Leaf, but he never relays information to the Leaf. Alright? Jiraiya had to get piped down by 6 dudes just to understand who the boss is, Pain. Itachi Ben knew who Pain was. Why couldn't he have told the Leaf if he was a spy? You see what I'm saying? Like, Jiraiya had to die just to get the information of, okay, the boss's name, Pain. He had to die for that information. You see what I'm saying? And Itachi Ben knew that. He Ben knew who Pain was. And if he was a spy, why couldn't he have told the Leaf that? You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that just completely contradict themselves with Itachi. He's supposed to be a spy, but he's never relaying any information to the Leaf, right? He comes to the village at some point, during the Kid Saga. He puts Kakashi in the nastiest fucking genjutsu ever, right? Where he stabs this man for like 48 hours or some shit, right? He just stabs Kakashi for 48 hours. Now, if Itachi were a spy, right? Why can't he just have told Kakashi, information that he would need to tell him? Nobody's watching the world of Tsukiyomi. Nobody has access to the world of Tsukiyomi. He could have, got Kakashi in the world of Tsukiyomi and just told him what the fuck is going on. You see what I'm saying? But no, he didn't do that. Instead, he just, stabbed the man for 48 hours. I guess he just had fun stabbing him for 48 fucking hours. This is what he decided to do. Just stab him for 48 fucking hours instead of just relaying information if he was a spy. You see what I'm saying? And when you really look at it, it really sounds like Itachi, all of this stuff was kind of like a retcon with Itachi, if you ask me. Because it's like a lot of this stuff, it doesn't make any sense. Because it's like, okay, well, you never actually see Itachi doing any of that, right? But then it's like, out of nowhere in Shippuden, it's like, well, Itachi was actually this really great guy, and all this and that, but it's like, you don't see that, and me personally, I think it's, Kishimoto changed him because of mass popularity, but, that's something for another day. Now, after Itachi dies in the series, he gets resurrected and comes back to life somehow, okay, by the Edo Tensei, right? And him and Sasuke, they meet, something interesting happens, they go fight Kabuto, and after they beat up Kabuto, Itachi, he dies, he re-dies, and before he leaves, he's like, Sasuke, I always loved you, blah, 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 and all this other kind of stuff like this, trying to paint himself as like some kind of, sorrowful hero dude who, made his mistakes, but, this and that, but it's like, no. Just no. And then he apologizes, and the Naruto fans will go crazy about that. They're like, well, you see, he was actually a great guy who made some terrible choices, some terrible mistakes, but he apologized for it at the end. He actually apologized to Sasuke, and yada yada yada, blah blah blah. But that's not even what happened. Okay, and his apology was ass. Like, did you guys actually take a second to just look at the apology that Itachi actually made? Okay? He never actually apologized for the massacre itself. He never actually apologized for whooping Sasuke's ass or making him watch him kill his mother and father and then the rest of his family. He never did any of that, right? The only thing that he actually apologized for was that he should have trusted himself better. And he should have trusted in Sasuke. Whatever the fuck that means. You know, so I'm guessing, you know, according to Itachi, you know, he should have, I guess he should have told Sasuke sooner about, you know, his decisions on the clans, you know, and I guess he's thinking that Sasuke would have understood, you know, or something like that. Like, I guess in Itachi's mind, he would have, like, walked up to him and been like, hey, Sasuke, you know, I know I killed your mother and your father and the rest of your clan, but there's a perfectly good explanation for that. You know, I know I slaughtered your mother and laid your grandma out in the street, you know, but there's a perfectly logical explanation for why I slaughtered your mother, who was just washing dishes. There's a perfectly logical explanation for that. Like, what the fuck? You know, and that's just weird on all levels. Like, what are you thinking here? You know, it's like, dude, Itachi was a fucking lunatic, right? And then it's like you got the Naruto fans who would just go crazy about it. They'd just be like, oh my gosh, he gave up everything for Sasuke, he's such a great brother, he's such a loving guy. And it's just like, where do you see that at? Like honestly, where do you see that at? Okay, Itachi was a terrible person. And an even worse older brother. He was a terrible guy. There's nothing good about Itachi. Besides his design. His design is fucking fire, but... And so is his voice and his abilities. All that's pretty fucking fire. You know, but Itachi, you know, as far as like story narrative goes, he was a terrible guy. There's nothing good about him. You know, and the thing is like, what makes it so cringeworthy is he wasn't really intended to be like this, though. You know, Kishimoto, he wrote him with the intention of making his fans think that Itachi was a great guy. And this is very apparent during the whole Itachi everything, right? How Obito talks about Itachi. How Sasuke comes to the realization that Itachi was in fact a great guy. You know, even down to, you know, the massacre itself, when, you know, Sasuke's parents were on their fucking hands and knees, you know, with Itachi standing over him with a blade, and, you know, and Fugaku is like, you're such a sweet boy, you're so kind. It's like, what the fuck? Like, that does not make any sense. It's like, you're such a sweet boy, you're so kind for what? Killing them for no reason? It's like, what? You know, and then it's like, you know, some other Naruto fans, they'll bring up the fact, well, no, he didn't kill him for no reason. He killed them because he wanted to stop a war from happening, because if he did that, then the village would be weaker, and they might be open to attack from other villages. You know, but see, that's not enough of an excuse to kill your fucking family. Right? That's not enough of an excuse. You know, so basically what Naruto fans are saying is that okay, the Leaf, they're doing something to the Uchiha, right? Something bad. And because the Uchiha are mad and are retaliating now, as they should, you know, you're doing something horrible to them, they're not going to take it. They're retaliating. Leaf decides, okay, we're not going to tell you anything, we're just going to do stuff to you. They obviously get angry and retaliate. You know, but they say that Itachi decided to kill them anyway, not only to protect the Leaf, but because during the fight, then they might be open to a hypothetical war that could possibly happen if other nations hypothetically invade the village. So in other words, he killed his parents because of a possibility. If you get what I'm saying, right? And that was what Itachi's deal was. It was two things. One, because he thought that, you know, he just loved the village more than his own family. Okay, so even though his family had a justified reason for attacking the village, he decided, no, I love the village more. so you can die, and the village, who, by the way, wants me dead too, by the way. Yeah, I'll protect the village. You know, and the second reason is because, okay, if you guys fight, then there's a hypothetical possibility that another village can come in and fight. You know, and look, there's a lot I could actually say about this, right? But just to summarize, Itachi, no. He had very poor decision making, and he was a terrible guy with no redeeming qualities. That much should be obvious. It really should. That much should be obvious.